Guys, back again with another video. As the title suggests, this is actually the first video in a series where I'm going to look at the in-depth analysis of 6th edition as we know it today. Now, things have changed lots in 6th edition. Some big changes, but there's a lot of very subtle changes that when you're playing a game and you mention to someone, "Oh, this has changed," they're like, "Really? Where has that changed?" And these are the biggest changes that have really altered the perception of the game that we know. It's the small subtle changes that make the biggest difference, in my opinion. So this video I'm going to look at vehicles. Now the way vehicles have changed is twofold. Certain vehicles have got better, certain vehicles have got worse, but as a whole I think vehicles have stayed pretty much the same as they were as they were in 5th edition as a whole entity. The way it splits is this: we have to look at the primary function of the vehicle itself. Is the vehicle we're looking at a transport vehicle? Is that its primary function? Obviously you've got hybrids, things like Land Raiders, that have an immense amount of firepower but also carry infantry. But the primary function, is it a transport or is it a gun platform? So a thing that's solely a transport is something like a Rhino or a truck, pretty self-explanatory. Or something that's a gun platform could be like a Predator, Annihilation Barge, a Falcon. Again, a Falcon's a bit of a hybrid, but a Fire Prism, a Hammerhead. You know, these gun platform tanks that don't carry infantry, and their primary function is to shoot things. That's what you put them in the army for. So we'll take a look first at the gun platform vehicles. Now the gun platform vehicles in 6th edition have been made so much better than they were in 5th edition. Obviously, points costs aside, because they never change, points costs are a constant until a codex gets redone. So we need to look at the value we get for those points. Now in 5th edition, there's a few other videos out there about vehicles. I know Tony over at Sustainable Centre has done a video on vehicles, so as we look at the vehicles in this sense, and other videos have touched on it as well, vehicles in 5th edition, they were harder to kill, because now they have wounds or hull points, but you could shut them down. It's the way I combated vehicles in 5th edition. You know, if they've got a Predator, well, I don't need to kill it, but if I can stun you for this turn, then that's fine. When my next turn rolls around, I'm closer to you, I might be able to get a melter in range, and then you toast. So you could shut vehicles down very, very easily, which made the gun platform vehicles less effective, and it's why we didn't see many of them. I think really you only saw the token, the iconic ones, like Lehman Russ was always in the Guard Army, the cheap, super cheap Dakar Preds were always in Marine Armies, for 85 points, why wouldn't you? Things like Hammerheads were always there, Fire Prisms were always there, just because of the iconic feel of the army that the player is playing, which is understandable. But you didn't see them as much as we're probably going to in 6th edition. And the reason is probably two or threefold for this. First of all, like I've briefly mentioned, now with hull points, they're so much harder to shut down because you can't glance them and just stop them shooting for a turn like you could. Now you glance them, take a hull point, okay, you've taken a wound down, it's like taking a wound off a character, but on the whole, that vehicle, that gun platform tank, is still fully operational, so it's still going to be able to unload its full payload on you the next turn. So people in this sense are going to take more of them because they're harder to kill, harder to shut down. The second reason that gun platform tanks better is now every vehicle can move a full 6 inches and fire all its weapons, whereas in 5th edition only fast vehicles could do this. It's in this sense that fast vehicles have actually taken more of a hit than any other vehicle in 6th edition, because being fast is now no longer so much better. Okay, you can move 12 inches and fire 2 weapons, but most fast vehicles have 3 weapons that matter. You look at things like Blood Angel Predators, Falcons. There's some exceptions, obviously Eldar Wave Serpents and Vipers and things like that have 2 weapons. But on the whole, fast vehicles taking a hit because they're going to fire 2 weapons at 12 inches. However, that's irrelevant because gun platform tanks are still better in the whole. So we look at this angle, and gun platform tanks are better because they're harder to kill, You can't shut them down as easy as you could, and they can move further and fire other weapons, making them more mobile. Which, who doesn't want that? Harder to kill, harder to shut down vehicles that are now faster and have lost none of the firepower, making them even more devastating because they can move to get all the weapons in range. So that's the gun platform tank and how it's been improved. That's the plus side of vehicles. Now, as in most things in life, there's always a balancing action. And now we look at transports. Now, transports in 6th edition have really taken a whack with the nerf bat. I'm probably not the only person that holds this regard, and I certainly shouldn't be the only person to hold this regard. It needed to be done, in my opinion, because in 5th edition, taking a transport was a no-brainer. You know, most of them are so cheap. You look at trucks, rhinos, things of that nature. They're all so cheap, so forgiving, so protective, and it was almost pointless for you not to take one. But now, if you will look at the rules of transport, if you consider a unit starting on the table inside a transport, your turn 1, the minimum that unit is going to see combat, if that's what you want it for, is turn 3. Because you move up turn 1, you're not going to be in range of anything. You move up turn 2, you then get out, you can't assault, unless you're an assault vehicle, but that's another different kettle of fish. So you move forward, you can turbo boost if you want, and you can't get out. Turn 2, you get out, you can't assault anymore. If you disembark from a stationary transport, you no longer can assault. So you have to weather a whole turn of fire. Then turn 3, you can assault. Now the other thing is, again, you can move up, you can move up. If you get wrecked inside a transport, you can't assault in your next turn. So basically, any time you disembark, be it a disembarkation or an emergency disembarkation, you cannot assault in your subsequent assault phase. Meaning, if you're taking things like trucks, all boys now, I suppose trucks are the exception actually, I should scratch that because they're an open top vehicle, so this doesn't apply to them. But if you're taking, you know, Blood Angel players that took a Rhino for the Death Company because it was a cheap metal box to throw them across the battlefield nice and quick, now you can't do that. Because you can have this awesome combat unit that's not going to be in combat for half the game. And that's not why you want it. So, unless you're open top to an assault vehicle, transports are now almost useless. Which is why a lot of people are taking the approach to demech and, you know, have these foot armies, because a transport is still going to be a one-hit kill. You know, if you hit it with that last cannon and penetrate it, it still can die, especially with the +2 and +1 now from AP 1 and 2 respectively. You know, vehicles don't last long. There always have been and always will be a one-hit kill, whereas 10 guys on foot, that's a 10-hit kill. If you think about it in terms of how many things you have to kill before it's gone. Okay, the whole point is, you know, tallies it up a little differently, but so, I mean, like I say, it's balanced. Some vehicles got better, some vehicles got worse. As a whole, they stay pretty much the same. We're going to see different types of vehicles, different types of armies, much more hybrid armies. A lot of foot armies supported by gun platform tanks, I think, is probably going to be more prevalent in 6th edition. You're going to see more marine armies with, you know, the 3-decker Preds, and then loads of marines on foot. We're going to see, I don't know, more foot guard supported by Lehman Russ battle tanks. We're going to see, I don't know, it's too early today to see how the meta's truly going to go. All we can do is look at the changes and sort of make predictions how we think it's going to change. No one really knows for sure yet, but that's vehicles in a nutshell. I think to summarise it in one sentence is gun platforms are better, transports are worse. That's vehicles in 6th edition in a sentence, I think. So yeah, this is the first in a series. There'll be more to come, guys. Cheers for watching.